Okay, so we'll get started. And our first order of business is getting the meeting minutes from last May, get those approved. So they are always available on our members area on the website. So if any errors or omissions, I know every one of you've read them. I mean, that's just a given. Yeah, okay, so we'll call for a motion to get those minutes approved. Jeff Robertson. Do we have a seconder? Oh, Murray Paulson. Okay, great. So all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Okay, next up, we have the treasurer's report from Jeff Whiten.
Hey everyone, this will be a quick one. There really wasn't very much that happened in the month of May. So our general account, there was zero activity actually through the general account this month, except for our regular membership dues, which were $179. So that ended the month at $81,236, a nice healthy balance. The casino account, again, had very little activity through it. We finished the month at $50,065. There was just a very tiny expense from RASC and just our internet fees out of that. So the Blob Drew Fund remains unchanged again from May at 1227, and things are picking up. So things have been slow, but Northern Prairie has started. So there's a lot of activity happening there. So anybody that owes money to the Northern Prairie people, send me their money. We'll get a book. That's it for me.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. So without further ado, I'll get Sharon Marthink up to introduce our guest speaker, Jared Krüger.
Hello. I'm really excited to introduce today's speaker. It's not every day that you get an email from a NASA solar system ambassador. I don't know. Have any of you? No? Okay. Anyways, a year ago, I got an email from Jared, who told me he's originally from Edmonton, but lives in Utah now, and is basically going to be visiting Edmonton and Alberta over the course of this summer. And would it be possible for him to give a talk? And so I said, well, that's interesting. Okay, so Jared is a bit of what we might call a polymath. He's an expert in a lot of different fields. He's studied over the years molecular biology, chemistry, geology, astronomy, obviously, ancient Near Eastern history, and world dance. I'm hoping he'll give us a little dance tonight. Anyways, he can tell us a little bit more about what it means to be a NASA ambassador. But I'll just let you know, he teaches at Utah Valley University, and he's also works at the Clark Planetarium there. So he's probably at home in a dome like this. Okay, so Jared, why don't you come up? Oh, you have your own microphone, right? Oh, there we are. Okay, great.
All right. All right, everyone. It's good to be here. Yeah, I guess just to start off with, I'm one of the things I get to do is volunteer with NASA as a solar system ambassador. So what that means is I get to basically be part of their extended outreach. So I get to go and talk to schools and things like that there, get people excited about all the cool stuff that NASA has going on. I know the Canadian Space Agency has something kind of similar there too. I believe they call them space ambassadors. So if you meet any of those, it's kind of the same deal there. Today I get to talk to you guys a little bit about astrobiology, kind of how that works, how we get into the field there, and some of the cool things that we've been looking at and kind of discovering there that have been kind of exciting for anyone in the field of astrobiology here. I'll focus a little bit on extremophiles, a little bit on fossils, potential biosignatures, and we've got a couple of missions that I'd like to focus on in particular. A couple of Mars missions with the Curiosity and Perseverance rovers there, along with the Ingenuity helicopter, and one of the missions that is stemming from that, Dragonfly, which will be pretty cool here. Alrighty, so first off, to get into astrobiology, basically what we wind up looking for is life in space. That's kind of what astrobiology means, the study of life in space. And it turns out there is one place in space that we have already found life, and that is right here on planet Earth. So our study for astrobiology tends to start right here, which is kind of fun. Now, when we look at life on Earth, there is a wide variety of different environments and things like that that life can be adapted for, and a majority of life might be a little bit different from kind of what we're used to here. So we can take a look at extremophiles to kind of get an idea of what different types of life might look like, especially compared to other places in our solar system and out in the universe that we might be able to look for stuff as well. So by looking at extremophiles, there's a few different characteristics that we can look at there. And one thing that we do want to be careful of is making sure that we are aware of any life as well. When we're looking at our planet here, we've got certain organisms that need much warmer temperatures than we have, or much colder temperatures than we have. Some of them require a lot more water or a lot less water than we require. Some of them require certain chemicals to be present there, or an absence of certain chemicals and things like that as well. So there's a wide variety of different things we might be able to see in life on our planet here that can give us clues to what we might want to look for elsewhere as well. There we go. One of the first types of extremophiles I want to mention just quickly here are anaerobes and halophiles. So it turns out that there are organisms on our planet that don't require any oxygen at all. Of course, we require oxygen in order to breathe, but there are certain organisms out there, microbes and things like that, that actually find gaseous oxygen to be completely toxic. It will actually wreak havoc on them there. So it's kind of interesting. We require oxygen in order to survive, but there are several critters out there that don't require it. So one thing we can ask if we're looking in very, very dry environments there, for halophiles, things that love high salt content, low water content there, is water necessary for life? You know, there's different things that we can consider there. So far, everywhere we've looked, any life that we have found on our planet, yes, water is required. But it is interesting to consider that we might have biases and things like that that will kind of tint how we look for life in our universe. We also have thermophiles and cryophiles, organisms that love high heat or high cold there. In biology, we do have a couple of critters that we found that are very, very useful, that are thermophiles there, that have proteins that require very high temperatures in order to work. We've got an organism that was found in the hot springs of Yellowstone called T. aquaticus that was actually very, very useful for us to be able to work with DNA, as they have a temperature-sensitive polymerase that they use to make more of their DNA that allows us to kind of do cool things with DNA in the lab there as well. If you wind up looking for cryophiles there, it turns out that a lot of the cryophiles we found kind of share an adaptation with halophiles, things that enjoy the really, really dry environments there. It turns out that having liquid water is very, very helpful for organisms there. So a lot of the really, really dry organisms, or a lot of the really, really cold organisms, have a tendency to form spores and kind of hide away until conditions get a little bit better for them. But that can be something that we can wind up looking for in certain environments as well. And it's kind of fun. We do have scientists that do tend to head down to Antarctica to go and take a look at things and try to find some of the extremophiles down there. Because it turns out most of the places in our solar system do tend to be a fair bit colder than we have here on Earth. So that's kind of a fun place to try and see things we might find in places in our solar system. Here we go. One of the last ones I wanted to mention here are chemotrophs and barophiles. So these are organisms that require certain chemicals or high pressures there. It turns out that we tend to be pretty used to organisms that require sunlight in order to get their energy, like plants and trees and stuff like that. But there are a lot of organisms out there that can actually use chemicals to get that energy instead. In a sense, we're actually one of those organisms there. Plants tend to produce sugars that we can then consume, and then we use that chemical breakdown of the sugars to get energy ourselves. But there are organisms there that can actually use chemical reactions going on in the environment around them to get that energy. And we find a lot of those around our deep sea hydrothermal vents or in volcanic pools and things like that there. And of course, way at the bottom of the ocean there, we tend to get some of those barophiles, organisms that require high pressures there in order to survive. If they come up too close to the top of the ocean there, they have a tendency to not do very well. And it turns out we're actually, in a sense, barophiles as well. We do require a little bit of pressure to kind of help keep our own fluids inside of our bodies there. If you go out to space and have none of that pressure at all whatsoever, one of the biggest risks to us is having all of our fluids kind of evaporate away without that pressure. So it's kind of interesting how that works as well. Now, we do have a lot of those different environments that we can find here on Earth, and we can try to find organisms there as well. But one thing that's very nice about being here on Earth is the fact that we can actually go and try to find these organisms in person. We can be there and actually try and find some cool stuff there. If we want to find stuff out in our universe, out in other parts in the solar system and things like that, it turns out that it's a lot harder for us to get those samples. So because of that, one of the first things that we tend to do is point telescopes at things, and we kind of rely on the light that is coming from those objects there. Because it's very hard for us to get those samples directly there, a lot easier for us to just take a look at the light that's coming off of it there, and that can give us some pretty interesting clues. It turns out that light has a nice broad spectrum there, and looking at the different specific colors within that light can give us clues as to the exact elements that we're looking at there, the exact makeups of planetary atmospheres and things like that. So when it comes to trying to find life elsewhere in the universe, one of the first places we look for are certain chemical traces, something really, really easy for us to detect by that light, really, really simple molecules that, as far as we know, can only be made by living processes. We do have a couple of things that we've been able to look for there. In the atmospheres of exoplanets, we've been looking out to see if we can find atmospheres that have water in them there. We have found a couple that do, which is pretty cool. Now, water can exist with or without life there, but it is something that, as far as we know, life tends to require quite a bit. So that's one of the things we tend to look for. And you guys may have heard of our finding things like phosphine in Venus's atmosphere. These are simple elements there that that tend to come from living processes that we know of there. And then if we detect any of these things on other planets there, we try and find geological processes that might explain it as well, to see if we can figure out where that material is coming from. But that involves taking a look at that light there. If we're lucky and we have something close enough by, like the things in our solar system, sometimes we can do the next best thing, or an even better thing, and that is to send a probe to that planet or object there to go and take a closer look at it. What's nice about being able to send those probes there is you get something there in person. We can get a lot better pictures, images, get a little bit better idea of what's going on. And depending on what we're able to equip those probes with, we can actually do various tests and things like that. Unfortunately, those probes do tend to be a little bit limited in what they can do. So there's only so much we can do with those probes, but it's definitely a lot better than just relying on that light that's coming off of that object there. But the best case scenario, if we want to actually find signs of life anywhere else there, would be to be able to have those samples come back so we can actually do really in-depth testing of those samples there and see if we can actually find those signs on a much, much smaller scale. And what's pictured up there is actually the samples that have been deposited by our Perseverance rover, specifically so that we can hopefully do something with those samples and somehow get them back to Earth, or do something cool with them in that way as well. All right. If we're looking for biosignatures anywhere in our universe there, it turns out a majority of life on our planet is actually much, much smaller than we are. We tend to be very, very huge compared to most things on our planet. Most of the stuff we have on our planet is single cell life. And because of the high majority of that single cell life there, it kind of makes sense that if we were to look for life somewhere else, we would probably wind up looking for single cell life there as well. But that single cell life is microscopic. It makes it very, very hard for us to see. So we'd have to look for kind of macroscopic evidence of that microscopic life. Up on the top there on the left, I have a picture of a stromatolite. This is actually one of the oldest fossils we found here on Earth from over in Greenland, which is kind of interesting. And these stromatolites basically are microbes that kind of help build up different layers over time there and can give us a slightly, very, very small, but a macroscopic view evidence that they are there. Unfortunately for us, there are a lot of geological processes that can kind of look a lot like some of our biological processes there. So on the right, I've got some micro sand dunes on sandstone there that tend to look a little bit similar there. So we kind of need a way to be able to tell pile made from these microbes from the pile made by the wind there. Another thing we might look for, it turns out in sedimentary materials there, you can actually have organic materials. As those organic materials break down, they can actually influence the rocks around them. Now here on Earth, when we have that happen, usually the organic material comes from living objects there. And on our screen up there, the picture on the left, you can see the little dots where some organic material was there and kind of changed the color of the rocks around it and kind of gave us a sign that there was some organic material there. Now, we can also get similar sort of inclusions, especially in igneous rocks and stuff like that, just from the rocks kind of settling out, or if they happen to have certain materials there, that can be a way for us to see similar little round areas where a particular part of the rock has been affected a certain way. But usually, at least here on Earth, usually when we see those organic modifications to the rock there, those tend to come from fossils. One way for us to tell if that is a fossil for sure is if we open up that circle there and you actually find a bone or something from a nice macroscopic organism for us to know that that is indeed a fossil. Most of those fossils, though, do tend to come from very small critters, which, lucky for us, we do have some pretty powerful microscopes. If we point one of these at those there, oftentimes we will find fossilized microbes, which is pretty cool to see as well. And if we can find those fossilized microbes, those can be a definite sign of life and help us tell the difference between stromatolites versus the micro sand dunes there, help us tell that these organic, what we call concretions are actually from these living organisms there. Now, if we send our probes out to Mars, that is one of the places that we are looking to find life in the universe. But it turns out that sending something with a microscope that powerful is very, very difficult. So unfortunately, we don't have any probes that can take a look at that microscopic level yet. That would actually require us either bringing those samples here so we can look at them under a microscope or sending people out, potentially astronauts out to Mars to go and take a look at things there. But there are some things that we can look for that are kind of hinting towards that, even if we can't confirm whether we have life or not, which is kind of fun. Now, a quick note, let's see, for the geology of Mars, we have a couple of time periods that we can look at there. With the probes that we have sent over to Mars, we've been able to take a look at kind of the different rocks and the different formations that we see there, and we found evidence that there used to be liquid water on Mars. We haven't found great big oceans of it there or anything like that nowadays, but we have found evidence that there used to be. And so we actually had a couple of particular time periods that we wanted to take a look at. In Mars' history, most of what we look at there would be what we call Amazonian, where Mars was nice and dry and very low pressure atmosphere and things like that. But if we go back far enough, it looks like there were periods where Mars was kind of periodically wet and dry and periods where it was very, very wet. So back where it was very wet, we call that Noachian, and where it was kind of intermittently wet and dry, we call that Hesperian. And we wanted to take a look at those time periods there because that's where we find evidence of that liquid water. And as far as we know, that is one of the best places to find life as we know it. So we wanted to kind of take a look at those. So we actually sent a rover called the Curiosity rover to take out take a look at a formation that actually was formed during the Hesperian time period there. If you look at the photo that was just brought up, we actually have a crater with kind of a mountain in the middle of it there. That crater actually formed in the Noachian period there, but over the Hesperian period, basically that mountain was able to build up inside that crater. And so we decided to send the Curiosity rover to go check that out. There were some exposed cliff faces that would give us kind of a good look at the different layers of geology and the different types of rocks we might see from those different time periods to see if we could find, not life yet, we wanted to see if we could find definite signs of things that were pretty close to habitable environments, things that actually look like life could potentially exist there. So kind of the not living things itself, but kind of the environment that they might need. So that was what we were going to look at with the Curiosity rover there. And then we also found another crater that was formed very early on in the Noachian period there that had a great big floodplain and delta that had been deposited there. Also deposited during the Noachian period, and we kind of wanted to look during that time period there. And having found a couple of things with the Curiosity rover, we decided to send the Perseverance rover there to look a little bit more specifically for potential biosignatures, which is pretty cool to look at too. All right, so over on the left, I now have our Mount Sharp in the center of that crater there from the Hesperian period. And on the right, we've got the edge of the crater and the river delta from our Noachian period there. And these are the areas that we were going to send our robots. So to take a look for the signs of habitability, the Curiosity rover was equipped with a couple of interesting things there. We essentially tried to equip it with everything it would need for basically a chemistry lab. We could take a look at different elements that were there. We had a little spectrometer on it, a few things like that to actually go and check what elements were present in different places, what materials we were looking at there, as well as equipping it with good cameras and things like that to check out those rock formations there and to look for that evidence of what looked like habitable areas there. So we've got a number of pretty cool pieces of equipment that were on that there. We did find some pretty cool things. We even found a couple of organic materials there, so we knew that the organic elements were at least present there. So we equipped the Perseverance rover with a couple of cool things as well. This one actually had a couple of things that the Curiosity rover did not have. It had ground-penetrating radar, so we could try to look a little bit deeper into the rocks there. Rather than being equipped with a chemistry lab there, we actually equipped it with kind of a way to collect samples and hold on to them, seal them off there, in the hopes that we could actually somehow either get those samples back to Earth or have them on hand for astronauts who make it over to Mars to be able to go and work with as well. Kind of in preparation for the potential of having astronauts head over to Mars there, we had a pretty cool experiment called MOXIE, where we tried to make oxygen out of the carbon dioxide that permeates or that makes up the majority of Mars's atmosphere. And we actually, it did a little bit better than we thought it would, which was pretty cool too. So we were doing some stuff to kind of prepare for potential future missions there. One other thing that was kind of cool that the Perseverance rover had that the Curiosity rover did not have was actually microphones. So instead of just looking at everything on Mars there, we could actually hear what was going on Mars, which I think is kind of cool. And one other thing that the Perseverance rover brought with it was actually a little helicopter called the Ingenuity helicopter. We wanted to test the ability for things to fly in foreign atmospheres as well, leading up to another pretty cool mission here as well. So kind of fun that we had those. Alrighty. Let's see. With each of those rovers there, we did find some pretty cool things. I know I mentioned just briefly that we found some of the elements that are required for organic materials there with the Curiosity rover. One that was kind of famous there is shown on the left there. We actually found some elemental sulfur, which was pretty cool too. That is one thing that certain microbes require as well. But pretty cool that we had these different things that we were able to find and kind of take a look at. And it looked like we did have some of that habitable type of environment there for a fair amount of time on Mars, which is pretty cool. On the right, we actually have something that you guys might have heard of a little bit more recently. With the Curiosity rover, we did want to see if we could find some biosignatures there, and we are actually passing a type of rock in this floodplain there, and you'll actually see that we've got what looks like sedimentary rock there, but it has this kind of little leopard print pattern, kind of these little spots in it that kind of look like they might have been biologically influenced spots in the rock there, very similar to what we would ordinarily call fossils here on Earth looked like in that previous picture there, which is pretty cool. Now, is it actually life there? We are not able to confirm that yet. One of the best ways to take a look at that would be to take a sample from this rock there, bring it to Earth, take a look at it under a microscope, and try to see those actual microbes there. And unfortunately, we can't do that, not yet. But it is pretty cool to see that there. Basically, if we wanted to find biosignatures on Mars, this is pretty much the exact sort of thing that we would be looking for, which is pretty cool. So right now, we are kind of, let's see, in the middle, I've got a chart of kind of what we would need in order to recognize life in our solar system there. So down here at the bottom, we have basically looking at finding something that looks like a biosignature there. We need to basically confirm that there aren't any geological processes to explain it away there. We're kind of at that point there, but we have been trying to find a geological explanation for this for a little over a year, and we haven't been able to find one yet, which is pretty exciting for anyone in astrobiology there. Of course, the next thing after that is we'd need to go and kind of double check and make sure that we have that more definite evidence of that biology there, make sure that we rule out any other possibility, and then last of all, if we can kind of confirm for sure that we do have those microbes present there, then we'd be able to say that it is life, but unfortunately we're not there yet. We need those microscopes or those other tests to be able to test that there, so we're currently down about here, down in the lower half still, but still very, very exciting for astrobiology that we just might have life on our planet closest to us. That would be a very, very cool thing to be able to tell for sure. But very, very cool that we have found what is definitely a biosignature, definitely something that hints that there may be life there, which is very, very exciting for us. Let's see. Oh, one thing that I did with that too, the particular materials that we did find in our in those little tubes, or in the little spots there, look to be either Greigite or Vivianite, and these are actually certain materials, kind of iron-rich materials, but still materials that are generally made by or generally connected with biological processes here on Earth. Vivianite is often found in bog iron, which is kind of interesting, and Greigite can actually be found in some of our, or can be made by some of our hydrothermal vent organisms, such as the scalefoot snail that I pulled up there too. So it's kind of interesting that we do know that there are biological processes that do make those materials there. We just want to determine if there's any geological processes that can do that there. And if we can, take a look and see if we can actually find the fossil itself, which would tell us basically be that smoking gun of whether we have a microbe or not, which I think is pretty cool. All right. Now, I did mention that we had the Ingenuity helicopter that we brought to kind of test a flight in another atmosphere. And we did that in preparation for another mission that we have that is going to be launching in 2028, July of 2028 is when we're planning on launching this here. This is basically going to be another rover, similar to the Curiosity or Perseverance. It's going to be about the same size, which, believe it or not, is actually about as big as our podium up here. They're pretty big rovers there. But this one here is actually going to be equipped with propellers rather than wheels for kind of a fun reason. We actually want to send this one to a different object in our solar system that has an atmosphere. It turns out out past Mars there, we have a moon around Saturn, the largest moon of Saturn called Titan, has a very, very thick atmosphere, and not just any atmosphere. Oops. Turns out this atmosphere is one of the most similar atmospheres to Earth's atmosphere out of everything in our solar system. Our gas giants have atmospheres that are very rich in hydrogen and helium, which is pretty cool there. For Mars and Venus, those atmospheres are mostly made of carbon dioxide. But here on Earth, we have something different from carbon dioxide because we had life appear on our planet that was able to basically impact how our atmosphere formed and change it from that carbon dioxide, giving us a very nitrogen-rich atmosphere. Of course, we've got a lot of that oxygen from photosynthesis when our plants figured out how to have oxygen-producing photosynthesis there. Now, Titan's atmosphere is a little bit different from ours. It doesn't have that oxygen that we would need to breathe, but it is mostly made of nitrogen, which is very exciting for any astrobiologist there. So far, out of all the atmospheres we've seen that produce nitrogen, the one that we do have evidence for how that formed right here on Earth was made by life. Now, that is a data point of 1. We'd need to confirm that on Titan to be able to make that a rule or a law there, because you can draw any sort of conclusion with a data point of 1. But we do want to go check out Titan there and see if we can find any signs of biosignatures over there as well. Something else kind of cool about Titan is it is a fair bit colder there than it is here on Earth. So all of the water on the surface of Titan remains completely frozen. Underneath it, it does have a great big ocean, kind of like our mantle of our planet here. You've almost got a mantle of liquid water on Titan, but that surface is completely frozen there. But on the surface, it is just the right temperature for something other than water to form lakes and rivers and things like that. It turns out it's just the right temperature for methane to be able to freeze solid or evaporate into the atmosphere and create clouds or rain down as rain or snow or things like that. So we've got rivers and lakes of that stuff over there. And unfortunately, those rivers and lakes do make it difficult for wheels to be useful in traveling around some of the places there. And that's part of why we want to equip that Dragonfly with propellers instead. We'll take advantage of the nice thick atmosphere. It's about as thick as our own atmosphere here, with a nice low gravity, make it nice and easy for that to fly around. And with that, we should be able to go check out all sorts of different places on Titan, see if we can find any of those biosignatures, and we'll actually get to start looking for those. It should launch, like I said, in July of 2028, but should get to Titan around the end of 2034 plan, which will be pretty cool to see there. As it flies around and takes a look at different things, who knows what we'll manage to find once we get over there, which I think is going to be pretty cool. All right, and that is everything there. So I will turn things back to Sharon, I guess.
We may have some questions for you. Okay, anybody here have a question for Jared? Oh, right here.
Thank you. I'm curious, you mentioned that we're at a certain stage in trying to figure out whether or not there was life on Mars. How long would you guess would be a good timeline for establishing whether or not that is? So in other words, you have to put the instrumentation there and or the astronauts. How long do you think that might take?
Ooh, that is a good question. Let's see. Part of that could have to do with what funding is available and stuff like that as well. I know with the Perseverance mission, there was hopes to have another mission that would be able to take the samples that Perseverance was leaving behind and find a way to launch them back to Earth here. We figured that might be a little bit quicker than sending astronauts over there. But we are working on the ability to get astronauts over there as well. We had our Artemis missions there. We were working on getting people back to the moon there. And in connection with that, we also want to put a space station in orbit around the moon as well, to basically give us the chance to learn how to live in space without the protection of Earth's magnetic field, because that's something we'll need to overcome to be able to get out to Mars. We do have astronauts that have been living on our International Space Station here around Earth, so we've been learning how to live in zero gravity and things like that. But in order to get to Mars, we would need to be able to survive in zero gravity for a little over 6 months to get out there and 6 months to get back. And I believe we're at the point of we've got about 4 months that astronauts can live up there without any major health concerns and things like that. So we're getting close, but we're not quite there yet. So it might be a little bit of a race to see if we can find something that's able to launch those samples back our way, or if we can get people actually out all the way to Mars there. So there's a couple more technologies or a couple more lessons we need to learn to figure that out. But I know we're pretty sure that with the rising generation here, we'll probably have our first astronaut to Mars may well have already been born. So we'll see for sure. But a great question.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
I don't need the microphone. I can inject my voice. Talk budgeting. Now, in the past, it's been NASA and the federal government budgeting for space programs. It's moving into the private sector. Have they spoken up and, shall we say, giving us hope that there's going to be money there for space exploration beyond their own personal desires?
Ooh, good question. I know there is a big push to put that into the private sector, partly because, yeah, people tend to get excited, and sometimes the companies are a little bit better equipped to fund those things rather than trying to have the government programs kind of go towards things there. But yeah, I know there's still, how do I put it? I know NASA is kind of geared a little bit towards kind of supporting the private companies, as well as trying to still, keep up the science and stuff like that there. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a shift to supporting these other groups that want to get to space there as well.
So we're going to do this on the behalf of civilization, or are they sitting back and everybody's waiting?
That is a good question.
It's okay.
Yeah, good question. I'm actually not positive there, but yeah.
Thank you.
I know there's definitely quite a few of us that are pretty excited for getting more people involved in that. So awesome, great question.
Anybody online? Do you have a question for Jared? Oh, got one more here. Gina?
Thank you, Clayton. I'm just wondering that as we push the boundaries of space exploration, and we will, maybe not in our own lifetime, but I'm just wondering as we continue to push, if we're going to be looking at a different definition of what is life.
That's fair. I know in biology, one of our
Thank you, Clayton.
discussions we'll have is kind of exactly how do you define life there. I know one that tends to get brought up fairly often is whether viruses count as alive or not. I know which side of that I'm on. I actually got to work with viruses quite a bit there, and I've accidentally killed quite a lot of them for them to not be alive. So that's where I stand on that. However, there is definitely a debate, and that is a fair question there, because exactly what point do you go from not alive to alive, and what is our exact definition there? So there's still some debate on getting that even more precise than it is. We've got kind of a good idea of what we're looking for, but it would probably help if we fully define it to help us find it elsewhere as well. So yeah, great comment.
You got one more back here, Jared?
Excellent.
Considering how with our current technology, it is so hard to sustain human life in a long mission to Mars, for example, how likely do you think that we will have a non-tripulated mission to Mars to get those samples back in a short future?
Good question. Let's see. I know we are looking at kind of two different ways we could do that there, by having robots go and send those back to us there, or by having astronauts actually go and grab those samples there. With people that we have sent to the moon, we have been able to send craft over there that are equipped to launch back off into space and come back our way. Mars does have a fair bit more gravity than the moon does, and has a lot more distance to get out over there. So that's definitely some challenges to overcome before we do that. But at least we do have technologies that exist that should help with getting the astronauts out, getting the astronauts back. But yeah, we do still have a couple of hurdles to overcome before we're able to get those astronauts, before we do have everything that we need to get those astronauts there and back safe and sound.
Clayton, we do have a question online here, just as a text for Jared. What is the fuel the Dragonfly will use to move about on Titan? What is the anticipated lifespan of Dragonfly?
Ooh, good question. I suppose that's one thing I could mention with our rovers there. I'm actually going to pop back just quickly here. Let's see. All right. So on the Curiosity and the Perseverance rovers there, if you look at kind of the back end of the robots there, so kind of on the back tail end there, we actually have basically a mini nuclear reactor. So it's got some nuclear materials there that kind of radiate, produce heat there that we can then turn into electrical energy that they can use to run their motors and things like that. Basically, the Dragonfly is going to be pretty similar as well. Here, let's bring... Whoops. This one up here. So kind of at the back tail there, we'll have a generator that'll kind of do the same thing there. There we go. So at the back end there, we've got that nuclear generator there that'll basically allow it to generate electricity. And then the propellers there will actually be run by electricity, by electric motors there. So basically that's how they'll get their energy and the ability to fly there. The nuclear material there should be able to give them, I'm trying to remember the exact times there, but should be able to give them several years of energy to be able to fly around and do things with. But yeah, great question.
We do have one more question here online, if that's all right. It says, if Titan's atmosphere is so similar to Earth's, is it feasible to send plants over there to start converting the atmosphere?
Ooh, great question. Let's see, I'm going to hop over to this slide here. I do like that idea. Hopefully we'd be able to at some point there, but Titan is a fair bit colder than we are here on Earth. So we make sure that we have a very, very cold adapted, a very cryophilic plant to be able to do that there. And of course, we do want to double check and make sure that there isn't already life on Titan, because if we do find Titan there already, we probably wouldn't want to bring in any invasive species.
I've got one more. Last question.
Alrighty.
So you're sending a mission or a rover to Titan. Is there any plan to also explore either of Mars's moons?
Ooh, good question. Let's see. We actually do know a bit about Mars's moons there, because we do have orbiters that actually get relatively close to those. Turns out Mars's 2 moons are actually very, very small compared to our moons here. So they're a lot more like small asteroids. We think they were actually asteroids that were captured from the asteroid belt there. So actually landing something on those it could be kind of difficult there. A lot of the stuff that we might send would probably have kind of a significant amount of gravity of their own compared to the gravity of the moon there. So I know we've been able to go and like crash a probe into an asteroid there to kind of alter its orbit there. We might be kind of risking the same thing if we tried to land something on the moons of Mars there. But we do know quite a bit just from orbiters that have gotten nice and close to take a lot of pictures there and things like that. So I don't know if we will land anything on those moons. But I think it would be pretty cool if we tried. So, great question.
We just have one more here, but it's not really a question. It's sort of a comment. This one here is from Kaya Glennan. She says, how did you get so awesome, Jared?
I'm glad my sister was able to tune in. Shout out to her for being awesome as well.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jared. Much appreciated. So we're talking about appreciation here. The 2025 and put our hand up for you. So, thank you very much. Okay, next up we have Murray Hunt or Alistair Ling talking observers group. I don't know who's that. Look, Alistair's coming.
Thank you. Good evening. Murray is going to be coming up here, I think, as well. It's laser.
Right.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're going to all stay up late tonight past sunset to be able to see Jupiter and Venus get real close together. It's we've had a couple of nice opportunities, and we're going to get some more by the look of it. So, welcome to all of the visual stargazers out there. We have a small group of people who are using our telescopes and looking up at the night sky. We have monthly Zoom. We've got another one coming up on the 23rd, and then we'll also have one on August 25th. The 25th one will be talking a lot about preparing yourself for the Northern Prairie Star Party. But we also have very short notice gatherings in town. We might have one in 4 or 5 nights or next week. Keep an eye on Facebook and the email list to find out for notices. So it's bring your telescope and we'll help you learn how to use it. Whoop, I don't know why I'm going backwards. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the big thing for this week is keep looking. And whether that's all summer or just for the next few nights, you'll see Venus on the right here slowly shifting past Jupiter as the Earth moves us around the solar system. It makes it look like other things in the sky are moving. So we're going to they're going to be closest tonight and tomorrow night. And then Venus, the brighter one, will be on the left side of Jupiter. And over the next few nights, Venus will continue to distance itself slightly from the twilight sky. Jupiter will sink in as the sun appears to move closer. And we'll have Mercury popping up. So that should be any evening now. Get your binoculars out and have a look at a very low spot on the horizon to see all three of these planets. So that's something to look at there. Other things to look at, of course, we're just about starting the noctilucent cloud season. So there are these wonderful ethereal clouds sitting up at 80 kilometers altitude, made of ice crystals, and they're reflecting sunlight back down to us here on Earth. Very beautiful patterns. Have a look in binoculars. I find them very spectacular. Other things to look at. The moon, of course. And in this case, we have the straight wall illuminated from the other side. So it looks like a bright sword instead of a precipice, which it's not a precipice anyways, but just a slope that casts a nice shadow. So it's worthwhile spending time out under our evening sky. During the day, we have a lot of hours. Come to the Telus World of Science Observatory and have a look at the sun during the day. Just make sure you phone first to double check that the observatory is open. We have solar filters that make things very safe for looking at the sun, so we can see these magnificent prominences, even if there are very few sunspots floating around. One of the things that I've been playing with is, well, you try and hide your phone. As everybody knows, you take your phone out, especially at a dark site, and it's blindingly bright. And so you want to have some form of red light cover. Sometimes apps help, but a lot of times the updates in the user interfaces make those apps no longer function as well. And so I found that the classic Rubylith flexible coating often sort of delaminates. So I've found some red transparent vinyl. So if you're interested, come up and I've got some samples to hand out. And so one of the things I did is I took the red vinyl from a company in Calgary, craftvinyl.ca, put it on one of my screen protectors. The screen protector my daughter ordered for my tablet came with two of them, so I put the vinyl, nice sticky side, onto the screen protector, put it around the frame, and now my whole tablet is nice and red. So if I decide to change apps, which I do when I'm sketching, I won't blind myself. And of course, you can do this with your phone too. So I got a thin sheet of plexiglass from a photo frame from Goodwill for $4. Had cut out the little bit of plexi so that it measures just in perfectly on my phone. That's the inside. Put the vinyl on the outside, flip it over, and boom, for just a couple of dollars, have a very sort of safe, nice red transparent overlay. Okay, so other good news for beginner observers is that our Loner Scope program is back in force. Trevor Robert is our new coordinator. We have telescopes to loan out, so please get in touch with him through the email. And also there's scope medic help that I'm very willing and happy to provide for members. If you need help figuring out how your scope works and getting it pointed up the sky, drop me a note and we'll arrange a time and date to help you figure out your telescope. So that, and then finally, Murray, if you wanted to, you had something to say, I think. Come on up. Murray is giving one-on-one help at the, oops, I'm one slide ahead of myself. We also, as for services to members, we do weekend observing nights out at the Black Nugget Lake Observatory. We'll have special gatherings for Perseid and Geminid meteor showers. And if you want notification a little more instantly than old-fashioned email, we're going to get a WhatsApp group going so that we can get notices out a little more quickly. And then Murray is giving the 18-inch Barry Arnold telescope training.
Yes. Thanks, Alistair. Yes, just a reminder, August 16th, Sunday afternoon, I plan to put on an authorization training for the BAMT. That's the 18-inch manual Newtonian Dobson base. It's at Black Nugget. And if you, as a visual astronomer, want to go that extra boost, I mean, there's nothing better than using your own scope. But maybe sometimes an 18-inch is nice. It takes about an hour, sort of a demonstration how to set up and get the 18-inch ready to use. And then we'll give you time to do that, practically do it yourself. It's stored away in the CCAN, so you have to bring it out, set up a ramp. But so it takes about 2 hours to become fully authorized on that. So please send to my email address is up there, or you even contact the observing group at our website email. And August 16th, if you'd like to sign up, please let us know. Other than that, I can hardly look. I'm looking forward to seeing Mercury myself. It's been a little while since I've seen Mercury, and have a good summer. So lots of good things to watch out there. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Alistair. Thanks, Murray. Okay, almost ready for the break. But first, a little trivia question. Okay. What is the strongest magnet in the universe? Which of Saturn's moons has seeds of methane? Who proposed that the sun was the center of the solar system? So those are the questions we'll be answering after the end here, at the end of the meeting. So if you could put up the RASC apparel slide, we'll get that going here as soon as I find my copy of it. Okay, so there's been a few minor changes to the ordering process here that Jay has put on. He has actually put the order form on our website, so at edmontonrasc.com/download. At the very bottom of that screen, you'll find the order sheet for the apparel. You'll also find there the information as to the sizing, cost, and the whole 9 yards. Plus, he's looking now at payment to be either in cash or via e-transfer, no checks. So those are the things. Jay is over here. He got some jackets and shirts to hand out, I think, but he'll be available during the break. And we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Thank you. We'll have the center announcements next, and we'll There will be some outreach opportunities with Jeff Robertson, MPFP update from Susan, some swap meet information, and a little entertainment from Orla again this month if he has another song that he would like to perform. So that's what's coming up. So if Jeff, you can make your way up here, that would be
Okay,
great.
everyone, as this is our last meeting before the summer break, I would just remind all of our volunteers to check logistics. We've got a few events coming up. Of course, on the Labor Day weekend, which I believe is September 6th, the Sunday, we have Beaver Hills Milky Way Day. We also have later on in September a request to go out to the Lakeland Provincial Park for their dark sky event. The town of St. Paul has asked us to come, I think it's the second week of July. They're celebrating UFO days, and Frank's going. We have one person tentative, but that's not for sure. But we'd like to send 2 people out there. I think Frank has something on July the 1st at 2s. Also, we have a request to do a Perseid meteor shower event in August. So there'll be a lot of stuff going on this summer. Check logistics and put your name down. The more the merrier. Particularly for the Beaver Hills thing, we'll take as many people as want to come out. I think that's it.
Did you mention the one up Lac La Biche area there?
The Lakeland?
Yeah, Lakeland.
Yeah. Years like this.
Okay.
Microphone.
So remember, if you're a volunteer, make sure you check the volunteer portal and see what's going on there and get your names in. Okay, next MPFP update from Susan Bram. That's coming up in not too distant future.
Thanks, Clayton. This year's Northern Prairie Star Party is proving to be a very popular event. As you likely know, it's going to run from Tuesday, September the 8th to Sunday the 13th, with most group activities for Friday and Saturday. It is being held at Black Nugget Lake Park, campground located about an hour's drive southeast of Edmonton. The campground is also the location of our Black Nugget Lake Observatory. So those of you who are new to the club or new this evening, our annual event is for members and those interested in astronomy to come out and for 5 nights, up to 5 nights of dark sky viewing, weather permitting, of course, as well as workshops and presentations, and time to talk with other amateur astronomers and for people to bring their telescopes, their binoculars, and their sense of wonder. It's a seriously dark sky at Bortle's scale 3. Online registration is required for all attendees, and it opened on May 25th. And it was a very brisk morning for Dave and Carol Mussel, who are handling registration as they have for the last couple of years. A huge thanks for them to set up this online system and taking all your questions and requests. As of today, we have more than 75 people registered, and every single campsite for every night has been booked. So there are opportunities for people to camp, and some people we know already who want full power are camping on the other side of the campground and coming out for the activities on the north side. But I did check on the website for the campground today, and you're able to book sites 55, 56, and 57, which are the sites just before you go down the hill into our reserved area. All of those are non-powered sites. They take 2 RVs or tents or whatever per site, and they're all free for the entire duration of the Northern Prairie Star Party, as well as group sites 7 and 8. But in order for you to book that, you're going to want to have a couple of other friends book the sites too, because you have to book for a minimum of 3 parties. So anyway, there are opportunities for you to camp close to where we've reserved for this year. So don't be dissuaded by the fact that there aren't any camping spots left in the area. Please register, though, as soon as you can to get in before the limit of 120 total attendees is reached. Last year, we, for the first time, had to close registration about a week before the event. And because of our talks this year, we believe we're going to end up with a full crowd this year as well. The final deadline for registering and for ordering t-shirts is August 25th, so we still have some time there. Okay, the schedule, the detailed schedule and the ground rules has been posted on the website, thanks to Luca Vanzella for his assistance. And I made some copies for those that are attending, or if you're interested in the event, and I'm going to leave them actually over Joanne on the left side of your table here for people to take one if you'd like to when you leave tonight after the meeting. Okay. A few more details about Friday and Saturday's programs are also listed in the Stardust issue this month, as well as on the website. I wanted to just acknowledge that Tom Owen has graciously accepted our invitation to moderate a panel of 5 accomplished astrophotographers who are RASC members, and they will be showcasing their equipment and their image capturing procedures, as well as their processing, in a 3-hour workshop on Friday afternoon. And among those who have been invited to participate and have agreed are Abdur Anwar, Warren Finley, Gab Sewell, and Craig Sherris. So we'll have a few more details on that posted on the website when we have that filled in a bit more. And another workshop training opportunity has been mentioned in Stardust by Murray Hunt. Where are you, Murray? Yes. Murray is going to be doing the training on the BAMP-T on the Friday evening you're hoping to do. And you've given, I put your observer's email address in the schedule for people to get in touch with you to let you know that they would be interested in taking part in that on Friday after that. Okay, so then we have filled in the details on the talks by our 3 presenters on Saturday, and we are delighted that we've got such a great variety of topics and great speakers. Brian Martin will be talking about searching for ET, science, fact, fiction, or fantasy. And in this work, he's going to look at 3 significant works of science fiction that deal with first contact. 2 of the works, The Black Cloud by Sir Fred Hoyle and Contact by Carl Sagan, are by acclaimed astrophysicists, while the third, Project Hail Mary, Andy Weir's work, many of you may have seen recently as a current movie. The intent is not to criticize as much as to enjoy the science that the authors have woven into their stories. It will also provide us with an opportunity to look at some of the current science emerging from the James Webb Space Telescope and the spectroscopy now being done in the search for biosignatures on exoplanets. Jared, you might want to come back for this. How much of these works is potentially fact and how much is fiction or fantasy? So it should be a really great talk to start off the afternoon. And then Yang Shen, who is a professor of space plasma physics and space weather at the University of Alberta, is going to talk about auroras, their history, nature, physical drivers, and space weather impacts, talking a little bit about the history of how our understanding of auroras has evolved, including their optical characteristics, identification, and major physical drivers in the magnetosphere. And the second part of his talk will discuss the broader impacts of auroras and how auroral activity can affect modern technological society. And then rounding it off, Jeff Robertson, who was just up here, is going to talk about Back to the Moon, Apollo's legacy and its lessons for Artemis. And Jeff says, once upon a time, humans visited a place that for the most of our history seemed impossible to get to and then abandoned it. Decades later, humans are once more looking at that place and are planning to not just visit it, but to stay. The Apollo program to land a man on the moon was the result of politics, science, engineering, and a bit of luck. In this presentation, we will look at the reason for going, the designs of the machines, the history of the program, and the lessons Artemis has taken from Apollo. So great set of talks for the Saturday. Lots of other things are happening. The sales of the T-shirt that has been designed for this year are going well. Rick Bram, do you want to just come up here for a second? We got a sample T-shirt printed recently. It's designed by Rick and celebrates the successful Artemis 2 lunar flyby mission that took place from April 1st to the 10th. So there's Rick with the T-shirt on, and it shows the legendary Hercules holding Orion the hunter, sorry.
I'm not used to being a model, but anyway, here we go.
Holding the Orion space capsule and looking towards the beautiful picture that was taken by the Artemis crew. And as a little bit of a joke, he's got a green laser pointer pointing towards the image. So anyway,
like that, Clayton.
The T-shirts are the same price as last year, $25 for short-sleeved and $30 for long-sleeved. And you can order them through the registration page by the deadline of August the 25th. So, and our program with Black Nugget Lake with the BNLO also highlights observing, as we talked about at the Black Nugget Lake Observatory on Friday and Saturday nights. The BNLO team, a volunteer team, will be on hand to have the observatory open. Saturday morning, we've got a swap and shop, and we're also opening up the BNLO for a tour during the daytime on Saturday. We'll have solar observing, door prizes, our barbecue, and lots of opportunities for volunteering. So the key points to remember from all of this is we're delighted to have such a full program for this year. Come out and be part of it. Register sooner than later before we reach our event limit. Deadline for registering for the event and ordering T-shirts is August the 25th. And if you have any questions, please email npsstarfest@shaw.ca or talk with one of the members of our planning team. And I just wanted to mention Rick and I are on the team. Carol and Dave, if you can stand up, you're doing the registration and organizing of a number of the events and coordination. And Marion and Alan Hobbs are responsible for door prizes, the issues with the tent, and also the barbecue. So that's your team, and we look forward to seeing you in September. And that will be before our next members meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Okay. Next item I have up here is something called swap meet. We were having a discussion on council as to would we really want to run another large swap meet, and we didn't think that might be something that would be workable. So rather, we're going to experiment in September with a mini swap meet that will be held out in the area just in front of the dome here, where 3 or 4 members can get a table out there, bring in any equipment. Of course, we don't want to see any 14 to 24-inch knobs brought in. But if you have any accessories, something like that, you want to see if you can sell it, swap it with somebody else. We're going to set that up, and there will be a place, an email that you can register that you want to do it. So we'll try that in September prior to the meeting. So half hour, 45 minutes before the meeting, you can set up out there. You can we'll have something at the break where you can go out and take a look at stuff. And then finally, after the meeting, if you're still inclined to take a look at the table, we'll try that out. So I'll be looking for members for September, 3 or 4, to step forward to see if you have anything you need to divest of, if your wife is pushing you to get rid of some of that excess baggage that you have in your man cave. My wife is already telling me I got stuff I got to get rid of. So, okay. Next, we have Orla from last month, who did us some astronomical music. He has one more song that he would like to perform tonight. So he's going to come up and give us his rendition.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Oh, I can't use that. It might be a little loud, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just hope the guitar stayed in tune. Okay, so my name's Orla, and we've had a presentation tonight by Jared about extremophiles and looking for life. And last week we had a talk by Laurie Watson, I think, gave a talk on the SETI project. So I thought an appropriate song maybe to play is my song Contact, which is kind of based on Carl Sagan's book that was published in 1984. And I wrote a song, when I was doing my PhD. I wrote it about that book, or that Making Contact. And then a couple of years later, Jodie Foster's, the movie Contact came out, and I thought it could be a great theme song. That's good. So you can switch to the first slide and then just feed it. I can't start until it switches, otherwise I'll get out of sync. There is an electromagnetic wave traveling through outer space. It has a modulated frequency sent out by the human race. It has a wavelength which is suitable for radio. Just tune in its wave number and we will say hello. Hey, is anybody out there with a telescope who can tune into our frequency? Is there any hope with an amplitude that's fading and a redshift kicking in? Soon our message will be buried in the background cosmic din. Is there anybody out there at all with the technology to hear us call? Are we alone in this universe? If we're alone, well, there could be nothing worse. Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? We had a radio antenna 300 meters wide, pointed towards the zenith in the Puerto Rican sky. It forwarded a message in 1974. In 25,000 years it will get to their door. We're waiting for an answer. We'll wait for their request, but we don't know where to look for it. What frequency in best? In some corner of the spectrum where the noise is not so high, or at 20 centimeters. We'll wait for their reply. Is there anybody out there at all with the technology to hear us call? Are we alone in this universe? If we're alone, well, there could be nothing worse. Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? The Voyager's traveling towards that distant star, carrying a message that tells of who we are. A history of our planet spun on a disk of gold, but will it be forgotten before its story's told? I thought I saw a spaceship flying through the air. I thought I saw a UFO landing over there. Have they come to meet us, invite us to their home? Or was I only dreaming and we are all alone? Is there anybody out there at all with the technology to hear us call? Are we alone in this universe? If we're alone, well, there could be nothing worse. Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone?
Thank you.
Thank you, Orla. Okay. Okay, next up we have our librarian, Mark Zelsick, to present Book of the Month. And as you can see by the book display, I think we're cleaning house.
Good evening. Yes, indeed. Hello from the library, from co-librarians Rosemary Ball and I. Tonight we present you with Ledgerama Sisboomba. We've cleared the shelves out of surplus and somewhat older books in the library, which is located just off the entrance to the Star Theater. These books are all free. Thank you for all the interest. A lot of people I notice have been browsing through the books. They're free, but if you would like to leave a donation in our donation box, it would be greatly appreciated. So those are our surplus books. The books we have in the library, you can look at them two different ways, either before, during, or after the meeting. Physically go into the library and browse the selection. Or you can forego the idle chat in the library about drumhorn music and just look online by looking at the Edmonton RASC website, and the entire catalog is now online. As far as this month's Book of the Month, we seem to have some kind of theme going here tonight. Interstellar objects. Asteroids are comets that come from outside our solar system and go around the sun. We have seen only 3 of them, and the first was Oumuamua, only back in 2017. Author Avi Loeb focuses in on Oumuamua, its surfboard-like shape, its composition, and its weird orbital behavior, and presents a compelling theory as to what this object really is. A hint, the title of the book, Extraterrestrial. As far as any other hints, I don't know, I can't think of any at all. Anyways, the book is available to rent to members at the conclusion of the meeting, and as a bonus, you get to keep it all summer long and not return it until September. So that's our book for the month, this month. Again, thanks for the interest in the books. Great, thank you very much.
I think I've seen him before somewhere. Okay, now we'll move on to Astro Imaging Corner, and Tom Owen is on our Zoom call tonight, I hope.
Here.
Hey, there he is. Okay, we'll get set up for you here momentarily.
All right. And let's see. Perfect. Thanks for that. All right. So we will carry on. Let me just get this out of the way. Yes, and I want to start off by saying many thanks to Ray Weens for guest hosting last month. Is much appreciated. So our first image is from Mark, who is just speaking with us, and he says, "Noctilucent cloud season is upon us. These beautiful ice clouds form 80 kilometers above us in Earth's mesosphere and can be seen at these latitudes from mid-May till mid-August, with peak activity at the end of June and the beginning of July. NLC are seen in twilight when the sun is between 6 and 16 degrees below the horizon. This photo is from the morning of July 5th, 2025 at 3 a.m. with the NLC low on the northern horizon." Beautiful shot, Mark. And he's also got a time-lapse movie for us. And he says, when time-lapse movies are made, the NLC transform into a graceful dance. This minute-long movie consists of 4 time-lapse sequences with exposures 5 seconds apart of displays in 2025. The last clip shows a classic NLC jump from the morning of July 5th. When a display simmers along the northern horizon at around 3 a.m., as in the still photo, you never know what's going to happen. Many displays just fade into the morning twilight, but if NLC are present in the entire sky, as in this case, they form a beautiful tapestry over the following hour as twilight brightens and lights up the NLC. Watch the right part of the display as a spur of NLC looks like an unfurling sail high in the sky. So let's see if I can get this going here. Okay, next we have this is a lunar crater Messier sketched on a digital tablet by Alistair Ling. And I think we always welcome sketches here at AIC, and that's a really nice job, Alistair. This is a sun halo. It was taken by Josephine Christensen. She says she took this on March 31st. I think it's a 22-degree halo. Either way, it's super cool. And it was taken with a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. And I agree, Josephine, that's a super cool shot. This is from Murray Paulson. I've just called it Moon and Company. And Murray writes, I have a nice topical photo from 2023. It was taken with my Canon 80D using my 10 to 22 zoom at 22 millimeters and 8 seconds exposure. It shows a 3.7-day-old moon above Venus, and off to the left, making a small isosceles triangle with the moon and Venus, is Mars. The icing on the cake are the background bands of NLC. Venus is 2.4 degrees below the moon, and Mars is 4.6 degrees south of the pair. So that's a great shot, Marie. So this is SH2132, aka the Lion Nebula, a low surface brightness emission nebula in the constellation Cepheus. It's 250 light years across and 10,400 light years distant. I imaged this October 14th and 15th, 2025 at Poplar Bay, Pigeon Lake, using a QSI 683 camera and a Takahashi TSA 120 refractor with a TOA 130R reducer. It consists of 7 hours of 5-minute subs using HA03 and S2 filters. The subs are stacked using Astro Pixel processor and then processed using Star Tools. Okay. So I was sent a couple of photos by Yusuf Hussein, and I'm going to show this is his first one, which is sort of the daytime view, and he tells a story. And he sent me the email, and it said, Tom, this might be way too late for you to incorporate into Monday night because it was today, but I decided to submit anyway. Ironically, I was not planning to submit it, but really, this image is about the story, not the successfulness of the images you will see. Every year, I try to leave the city and head to some dark skies in the May new moon time frame. This year, that happened to be around the May long weekend. My attempt last year was Dry Island Buffalo Jump Lookout. It was ruined by clouds and by some mistakes. Everything I was doing wrong was well described by Alan Dyer during his talk at MPSP. So after some practice on Alan's topics, I was hoping for more success this year. I was talking with my son about coming. We needed to do a stop in Calgary, and I was trying to convince him to come with me to Calgary and stop again at Dry Island Buffalo Jump on the way back. My son then convinced me instead to make it a camping weekend. So after searching, I saw that near the lookout was a set of campgrounds near Tolman, referred to as Tolman East-West in the Tolman Badlands Natural Area. The campground is on the Red Deer River at the edge of the Badlands area north of Drumheller. As the weekend approached, we all saw the forecast for cold and rain up to 20 centimeters of snow. It looked like that was it, but my son convinced me he wanted to try camping in cold weather to experience it. We are tenting. We decided to go at the last minute. I took my gear just in case, even though the forecast was showing cloudy each night. We arrived Friday night. It was a cold night as predicted, as it went down to about 2 to 4 degrees overnight. We did our day trip to Calgary and returned. Calgary had snow on the ground, but fortunately none at the campground. On the way back, I noticed an update that the clouds were going to part at about 10 p.m. So we checked out the area near the campground, and instead of planning to drive 30 minutes to the lookout point, I found a spot near the campground just off the road in the Badlands Valley. A small climb up to get a nice vantage point. I went to bed. I got up when the alarm went off. It was definitely already under 5 degrees outside. Hard to get out of a sleeping bag. But I went for it. It looked nice as I got outside. Plenty of stars in the sky. I traveled to my parking spot, got set up, and climbed up to my lookout. Had some issues with my computer. There's always something lately. Ended up using my intervalometer instead. I thought everything was working well, and then halfway into imaging, I saw the focus had gone off. Not sure if I bumped the focus when trying to figure out the issue with the computer or just due to temperature changes. Reset and completed the session. But I did notice in the image that there appeared to be clouds to the south and some light affecting the image. At this point, it was pretty cold, so it felt good to get back into a sleeping bag. All right, I'm going to now show you the image that he took. How do you like that? So the image details. The camera is a Canon RA with an EF 16-35 f2.83 USM lens. I combined 2 ground images at 3 minutes of exposure at 1600 ISO and f2.8. I used a single tracked image for the sky. 72 seconds at ISO 3200 and f2.8. I used a Skywatcher Pro Star Tracker. I wanted to use more sky images combined, but the cloud shifted in each image, so combining the sky did not work well. So I took my best single image I could find. It was processed using Adobe Bridge and Adobe Photoshop, as per the Alan Dyer processing workshop. Next year will be better. Well, Yusuf, you're going to have to go some to get a better shot than that. Congratulations. Finally, we have something a little lighter. So this is from Alistair, and he says, this is a little 5 a.m. silliness after a long night under fantastic Namibian skies. We're pointing at the coal sack, a large zone of dust and gas obscuring the background Milky Way. And so I'm just hoping that there were no interstellar spacecraft on the other side of the coal sack, because that would become an issue. Anyway, I love this photo. So, members, please send your images to Astro Imaging Corner at edmontonrasc.com. And I would also, given that I'm going to be moderating with these esteemed astrophotographers at NPSP, I would invite you to send your questions to me, and you can use the AIC address if you like. Questions that you might have for the panel when we do our panel at NPSP. I think that would be just great. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Tom. Almost done. So, the answer to the trivia questions is next. And during the break, we had a discussion on one of the questions. Maybe the answer may not be correct. Okay, 2 out of 3 people agreed that the answer was correct. Okay, first question was, what is the strongest magnet in the universe? And the answer to that is a neutron star. Which of Saturn's moons has seeds of methane? And that was brought up in Jared's presentation of the moon Titan. And here is the controversial question. Who proposed that the sun was the center of the solar system? My source indicated it was Nicholas Copernicus, who was born in 1473 and passed in 1543. But there was a discussion that there may have been potentially 2 others prior to that. And it wasn't proven until Galileo actually was able to prove it. So we'll find out. I'll do a little research on that and see if there are any other answers to that question than one that I had. Okay. So now we'll go to our cartoon of the month. I thought this was pretty good. There's the Asteroid Tracking Center, and we have people bailing from the observatory. Probably not a good sight to see. Okay, you can go back to the last page there, Frank. Our next meeting will be on September 14th, 2026, and that will be after MPSP. So I hope everybody has a good time out there. And again, we got a few events going this summer, which we need some volunteers for. So if you're available, please come on out. And I wish everybody a safe and productive summer, doing some imaging, some visual observing, or whatever you got planned for the summer. Make it safe, and we hope to see you all again in September. Thank you.